Yeah. You know what time it is, man. Welcome to a new episode of Mark My Words with me, your host, Mark Gunnels, live from the Good News Sports Station in sunny, and yes, I do mean sunny, Los Angeles, California. Thank you guys for tuning in to another special episode of Mark My Words. Watching me live. Shout out if you're watching me live on YouTube right now. Shout out to StreamYard. If you're listening back on the Good News app, shout out radio.co. We're back. And you know what else is back? Well, it's not all the way back, but it's almost there. The NFL season, baby. Clap it up. You can just feel it in the air, man. You can smell it. You know, the air just feels a little crisper. The food tastes a little bit better. The drinks are just hitting a little bit harder, but they're not hitting at all on the field right now. Guys are in t-shirts and shorts, no pads, even though their helmets have a lot of padding on them. What is that, by the way? I need to figure that out. I know you guys have been seeing a lot of training camp clips of guys in their helmet, but with this extra type of padding on top of it. I'm not exactly sure what that is. I'm assuming it's to prevent head injuries, I would imagine. But if that's the case, why not just wear them in the real game? But you got to show the logo. I get it. But anywho, I'm so excited for this football season, man. I honestly can say I don't think I've been more excited for a football season than this one. And I'm sure I've said that plenty of times throughout my life. I probably said that actually every year of my life. But what makes this one different for me personally, as you guys know, as a kid from Kansas City, avid Chiefs fan, shout the Arrowhead Pride. But for me, it's a few things. First, obviously, with the Chiefs trading Tyreek Hill, there's a lot of people questioning if Patrick Mahomes is going to be the same. Will the Chiefs fall off offensively now because they traded away Tyreek Hill, one receiver? And I'm going to keep saying this. You're not going to replace Tyreek Hill, the player, and what he brings to the table as far as his dynamic ability, his speed, um, just all of that, his electricity, the way you can just move him all around the field. As a gadget guy, and he's a refound route runner, got better year by year. But it's not about that. It's about replacing the production, the stats. And now the Chiefs have a collection of guys, not just one or two guys. Because the last 2 years, well, not just the last 2 years, ever since Mahomes has been the quarterback, it's been Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. Those two guys got the vast majority of the targets. But now without Tyreek Hill, the Chiefs have a better receiving core top to bottom, 1 through 5. Yeah, they don't have a Tyreek Hill at the top, but they have a better collection of reliable guys. Where in years past, they only had 2 reliable guys. Another one was a tight end. So now you still have McCole Hardman who's going to get more targets, more usage. And by the way, he did have 700 yards last year. And he was behind Kelce and Tyreek Hill. So you still have McCole Hardman, who has the speed. Not Tyreek Hill, but he's of similar mode as far as speed goes, right? Not the player, obviously, that Tyreek is. You still got him. You bring in MVS from the Packers, who's one of the best deep threats in the league. You bring in Juju Smith-Schuster. I know casuals love to bring up his TikToks and all the other antics that he does. And they like to bring up the last couple years. He did have a 1,400 receiving yard year, but that was about 3 or 4 years ago, but you have to use context. He didn't have Antonio Brown next to him, somebody that demanded a lot of attention. Now he's going to have that in Kansas City once again because Travis Kelce is going to demand a lot of attention. And also, he's playing with a washed up Big Ben for the last 2 to 3 years. Now you're playing with the best quarterback in the world. Oh, and not to mention, you're playing with the best offensive play caller in Andy Reid. We know Pittsburgh is they're more known for their defense. So, and he's only 25 years old, and he's in a contract year. It's a 1 year prove it deal. I think Juju will be a Pro Bowler this year. So you have McCole Hardman, MBS, Juju, and I hadn't even got to the Chiefs' second round pick, Sky Moore, who has been impressing at camp so far. He had the biggest hands out of all the receivers in this class. He has one of the best releases. I mean, go look it up. Look it up. Look up, type in Sky Moore on Twitter. His release is crazy. And he may be your fourth receiver, which that's saying a lot for a second round pick. So, yes, they don't have Tyreek Hill. We understand that. But as a collection, they are better. And then obviously Travis Kelce. So I mentioned the four receivers, and then you throw on top Travis Kelce on top of that. You have 5 reliable pass catching options. When last year you had 2, maybe 3, if you want to count McCole Hardman, but he didn't have the usage, which he will this year. Not to mention you have a top 5 offensive line, at worst top 10. It's definitely top 10 by any metric. I think it's top 5. So you couple all of that, you still have Andy Reid calling the plays. What are we worried about? You bring in Ronald Jones at running back. Very, very sneaky good signing. Still got CEH. Bring back McKinnon, who popped last year and actually was their running back 1 as far as production goes the back half of the season and the playoffs. And you got Pacheco. He's a 7th round pick, but trust me, he may be a steal. Look at his film. The guy is electric. Runs, I think, a 4.34. So this is still going to be a top 5 offense. I don't know what the hoopla is about just because they lose one player, and albeit he's generational, but we have to look at what they have done to fill that void. I think they've more than done that. And also, this is going to force Mahomes to be a better quarterback because now he's going to have to spread the ball around. He can't just say, F it, Tyreek is down there somewhere. He's going to be able to spread the ball around, and he's going to have a plethora of options, not just 1 or 2. So you can make the argument that the Chiefs' offense will actually be better without Tyreek Hill. And it sounds crazy when you say that on the surface, but like I said, context matters. You have to look at what they have done in the offseason to fill out that wide receiver room. Now, if they just traded away Tyreek Hill and they didn't do anything, then I would be like, okay, you're right. But they brought in NVS. They brought in Juju Smith-Schuster. They brought in Sky Moore. So they have been very active on that front to make sure that Mahomes is not lacking in pass catching options. So I can't wait for the season. I'm so excited. I have a lot of tweets bookmarked. If you're not sure what that means, bookmarking a tweet basically, I mean, it's self-explanatory actually. You bookmark it. So you save it and you can always go back to it whenever you want to. So when Mahomes goes scorched earth on the NFL this season, is playing like an MVP, I can't wait to bring up all of these old cold takes that, oh, he's gonna fall off. The Chiefs aren't going to be the same. They regressed. What are they going to do without Tyreek Hill? Oh my gosh. The sky is falling. That's what you would think when seeing a lot of these tweets and takes, but I can't wait. I just can't wait. And before I move on, I'm still talking Chiefs here. Thank you guys for listening to me right now. Live on the Good News Radio app, live on StreamYard and YouTube, radio.co. The Chiefs had another pretty sneaky good signing this week. They brought in Carlos Dunlap from the Seattle Seahawks, edge rusher, veteran. He had 8.5 sacks last year. I saw a crazy stat. I have to pull it up on Twitter real quick. It actually blew my mind away. But this is the one glaring hole that the Chiefs had on their entire roster, not just defensively, their entire roster. Because when I break down their roster from an objective view, there's honestly no glaring holes besides pass rush, and particularly from the edge, because you have Chris Jones inside. Obviously their O line is top 5 in my opinion, top 10 at worst. You have Patrick Mahomes at quarterback, so you're good there. The receiving core is very deep. Tight ends, great. Running back core is a deep room with quality there. The secondary, it's young and unproven in spots, but the talent is there, right? The potential is there. The linebacking core, I mean, you got Willie Gay, Nick Bolton. That's maybe the best two-headed young tandem in the league at linebacker. But then you go to the D line, and the glaring weakness is the ability to get to the quarterback and actually sack him, not just grab him and let him go like they did with Joe Burrow last year. So now you bring in Carlos Dunlap, and does that completely solve the pass rush? No, but you get a lot better than you were before signing him, and there's no doubt about that. Let me find this stat I was looking for. Let me see. I'm sorry, gotta find it. It was very, very interesting. Okay, yeah, here's one. Sorry. So this is according to Jeff Kerr from CBS. Only 2 players in the NFL have 6+ sacks in each of the past 10 seasons. Cameron Jordan and Carlos Dunlap. That is a very, very impressive number. I would have never thought that. But that just shows the consistency, not only the production with sacks, but the ability to even stay on the field. If you look at Carlos Dunlap's stats in his games played over the years, he doesn't really miss games. There's a couple seasons where he missed 2 games, maybe 3 at most, but there's a lot of games where he played all 16. And that was before, obviously, the NFL moved to 17 games. But last year, he played in all 17 games where he had 8.5 sacks. So let me knock on wood so I don't jinx him. So I love this addition. It makes a lot of sense. It's very similar to last year when the Chiefs traded mid-season for Melvin Ingram, and he had a big impact. He allowed Chris Jones to go from the outside back to his natural spot inside. And if you look at his numbers, Melvin Ingram didn't have the sacks, but the impact was there. If you watched the games, he was setting the edge against the run. He was getting constant pressure on the quarterback. And like I said, the main thing is he allowed Chris Jones to go back inside. Now with the Carlos Dunlap, I think this is even bigger than Melvin Ingram for a couple of reasons. First of all, you're getting him before the season even starts, so he has more time to learn the system, get comfortable. And secondly, he actually does get to his quarterback and bring him down. Like I mentioned, 8.5 sacks last year. I already read out that stat to you over the last 10 years. He consistently gets sacks. So I love this. He's going to be part of the rotation with Frank Clark in the first round draft pick rookie George Karlaftis. And the Chiefs got better. There's no doubt about it. They got, I'm not going to say significantly better, but they definitely got better. They definitely got better for sure. So, enough Chief talk. let's go around the league for a second. And first of all, I'm really curious. How do you guys feel about training camp? Go ahead and tweet me, inbox me, whatever. Instagram and Twitter at Mark A. Gunnels. I'm just really curious because, you know, this time of year, we're so thirsty for any type of football, right? The summer's been long. It's been hot. You've been outside, spending beyond your means. Now you're ready to sit in the house on the weekend, watch college football on Saturday, watch the NFL on Sunday. And I think that kind of leads to us overreacting on these training camp tweets, training camp clips, you know, because I've seen a lot of training camp MVPs, right? But it didn't amount to anything once the season actually started. And I'm not saying it means nothing. I think it means something. I mean, obviously, especially for the young guys, right? The rookies in particular, learn the playbook, get comfortable out there against other NFL talent, get a sense of the speed of the game, right? Things like that. It's cool for the fans to go to. I'm not sure about every team, but tickets to training camp shouldn't be much. They may even be free at some places. I'm not sure. So it's a nice way to get up close and personal with the players, the coaches, kind of see how things are ran, right? It's exciting. But we don't need to overreact. I've seen tweets about Trey Lance. I guess he went 3 for 10 or 3 for 11 today at camp. But then when you hear the context, but look, we don't even see video sometimes. Sometimes you just get the tweets without the video. And they may not even add context. Like how many throws were dropped, right? How many were tipped? Or, a lot of things matter. Was it a great throw and it was just actually a better defensive play? I mean, that's actually possible, right? So I just don't want fans out there to get too wrapped up in this and think it's the end all be all because it's not. It's absolutely not. But what I will say is now preseason, you can actually get a gauge, right? Because it's a real game. And a lot of these guys are fighting for their careers, man. That's why I do like preseason, but I am glad they cut it shorter, because 4 games is just way too much. Now it's 3. I think that's solid. I would prefer for it to be down to 2, right? Where, the first game, maybe your starters play, I don't know, 2 possessions. And then the second game, I don't know, maybe the first game they actually play longer. The last game should be more for like the guys fighting for positions or fighting for a roster spot or rookies trying to learn. So if you did it 2, I think the first game the starters maybe play the whole first half. And then the second game, maybe a quarter or just 1 possession. But with it being 3 now, the first game starters probably play a quarter, 2 possessions each. Second game, okay, closer to a half. And then third game, maybe not play at all or maybe just 1 possession for your starters on offense and defense. I think that's the way that is typically going with it with the 3 games now, even though it's still pretty new. So teams are still going to be adjusting how they rotate that in and out, right? But I really, really, really am intrigued by this season because there's so many storylines. I mean, this was the craziest offseason in NFL history. I don't think you can even debate it. Tom Brady retired, then came back. Now you have Russell Wilson on the Broncos. Carson Wentz on the Commanders. I mean, Michael Thomas is back for the Saints, right? He looks good. He look like he still has his explosion. Now you got Baker Mayfield in Carolina. I mean, it's just so much shifting. So much. Trey Lance is now the guy in San Francisco. Kyler got a new deal. They removed the study thing from his deal, which was pretty funny. So Khalil Mack at the Chargers, J.C. Jackson. I mean, I can just keep going on and on. Deshaun Watson, obviously in Cleveland. Waiting to see what's going to happen with that situation, though, as far as potential suspension. Mitchell Trubisky in Pittsburgh. I mean, what else we got? It's a lot, man. Tyreek Hill in Miami. AJ Brown in Philly. Still waiting to see what's going to happen with Debo and his contract. Lamar Jackson. Derwin James. So, still a lot of potential moving parts here. And we're only in week 1 of training camp. Just week 1. But next week on Thursday is the NFL Hall of Fame game. They got one team in there where I'm not exactly sure why they're in there, because do they even have a Hall of Famer? The Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm not sure, and if they do, it's not many. But they're going against the Las Vegas Raiders. I didn't even mention that one. Just thought about it since I said the Raiders. Devontae Adams in Vegas. So it was definitely a crazy and wild NFL offseason, which I think is going to carry over into the actual season when these games start being played, man. I mean, it's going to be a gauntlet. The AFC is stacked. The NFC is definitely the weaker conference of the two. But you still have a few teams in there that can make the Super Bowl. I think the Saints can. They have a top 5 roster. The only question mark you could have is Jameis Winston. But he's in such a good situation to where they're not going to ask too much of him. Just don't lose the games, right? Be a game manager and make the clutch throws when need be in the fourth quarter. But you don't have to do anything crazy because you have a great defense. So you can really lean on them to carry you throughout the season. And not to mention, you have 3 new receivers, which is a clear upgrade over last year. I mean, obviously, Michael Thomas isn't new to the Saints, but he's new to Jameis Winston because he wasn't there last year. You bring in the veteran Jarvis Landry, who still has a little juice. That was pun intended. If you know, you know. And then you bring in Chris Olave, who I think was the best route runner of this not free agent, of this draft class. I think he has special written all over him. And then obviously you still got Alvin Kamara. You got Mark Ingram. You have a really good offensive line. So they're built to win. The Bucks, I'm a little weary on them now. Unfortunately, Ryan Jensen went down. They're starting our all-pro center. So that's a big loss. I'm not sure how they're going to fill that void. I know JC Treader is out there, but we'll see. Look at the NFC East. It all depends on Jalen Hurts. Similar situation to the Saints. You have probably a top 5 roster, but the only question mark is quarterback. But I think he's been working his ass off. He's a competitor, and I think he will show massive improvement this year as a passer. We know what he can do with his legs, and obviously you bring in AJ Brown. It's going to help a lot, and you still got Devontae Smith and Goddard at tight end. Don't forget about him. NFC North, the Packers. I'm not sure about them this year, man. I'm really not. I like the Vikings a lot. I like bringing Kevin O'Connell, that system with those weapons. And in the West, obviously the Rams. the defending Super Bowl champion Rams, and the Niners. Once again, a young quarterback on a team that's perfectly built around him. So it's on him. Don't lose the game. You have a great defense led by Nick Bosa. All you have to do is just manage the game, play within yourself, and the Niners should win 11 or 12 games this year. I don't think that's out the rim of possibility at all. I think it's very, very possible. So we'll see how it all plays out. I'm not going to give it to you now. I was going to give you my early Super Bowl prediction, but I'm not going to do that right now. I'm going to save it for the next show. I'm going to save it for the next one. Yeah, I got to build the drama because I want to make sure I really believe what I say, right? I don't like just to say things that I don't believe. I'm really, really big on that. So just hold tight for that one. And I hope you guys have a great weekend. Like I said, follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Mark A. Gunnels. I'll be back next week. You guys be safe this weekend. I'm out.